Okay, we got about 1 minute to the top of the hour, so why don't we get started first with a little bit of housekeeping up front. First of all, I want to make sure everybody can hear me okay, and if everybody can see the screen okay. If somebody wouldn't mind doing me a favor and entering the Q&A chat there and just let me know that you can hear me loud and clear and see the screen. I'd certainly appreciate that. Here. Hear me fine, and you can see the screen. Beautiful. I appreciate that very much. All right, folks, we're going to get started with the presentation today. A short 20 minutes. Hopefully, you get a little bit out of it. My name is James Mallory. I'm with EB Technologies. We are the publishers of Anytime Collect. We specialize in helping companies automate their accounts receivable, everything from invoice to cash. And we like to pass on tips when we have them, and that's the goal for us today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Today's topic, how to increase collection call productivity, and we're going to walk through a couple bonus call scripts for you. All right, so the agenda, pretty short, how to become more effective on your collection calls, how to increase your transparency on your collection calls throughout the organization so that what happens in collections doesn't, it's not like Vegas. It doesn't stay in Vegas. It doesn't stay in collections. You're able to actually translate that out and share that information to the different stakeholders within the business. And then last but not least, a couple little bonus collection call scripts, at least some ideas to maybe point you in the right direction, give you some ideas on what you might want to do on some of the calls. So start with how to be more effective on your collection calls. This is the first step, and this just makes sense, but sometimes we forget this. The first step is really just to get organized. It's hard to be effective in anything if you don't know where the information's at. Now, if I'm getting ready to make a phone call, I need to know what's the goal of that call. Am I trying to get a better contact? Maybe I'm not getting a response from my primary contact with the customer. Is my goal to just to get them to answer the phone so I can have a conversation, right? Or is the goal to get them to make a payment, payment in full, payment partial, to get them to do a promise to pay, what have you. The other side of getting organized is to have all the information I need available to me. For those of you using our Anytime Collect product, you know that we have all the information right there front and center for you. But if not, that's fine. At least have the aging report in front of you, the customer, account information, so you know what's due, the invoice numbers, the balances, the products, etc. Any notes you might have had from prior conversations. And then the last one here says a smile, but to me it's more than just a smile. It's the right frame of mind. Before you make that phone call, you need to be in a pretty good mood, or it can go pretty bad. If you just had a really bad call with another customer, maybe a little challenging collection call, make sure you take a break. Get up, walk around a little bit, get in the right frame of mind. It is absolutely amazing how much better your communication is going to go, whether it's on the phone or even in person, when you prepare yourself emotionally for that conversation. And let's face it, folks, you guys don't have the easiest job in the world. Collecting money is not an easy thing to do. It takes a special person to be able to do that effectively. So make sure you get yourself in the right frame of mind. Smile a little bit. It's going to make you a little happier, even if the customer isn't necessarily that happy. All right, next step, inform the customers. You need to inform them kind of what's going on here, right? We're calling. Why are we calling? We're calling because you have a past due balance. We're going to inform you of the invoice or invoices that are past due, or the ones that maybe are in dispute, or we need to get some more information on. We need to give them the accurate information on the amounts due, as well as the due dates, right? So if we have all the information up front, now we're going to inform them of all the things that they need to know, and then ask them, those critical questions. What are the next steps? When can we expect a payment, et cetera? One of the keys, one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is stop and listen. You can go out on Amazon, you can go out on YouTube and look for books or videos on effective conversations. And a lot of times it's asking those open-ended questions and then just stopping and listening, making that awkward pause for the customer or the person you're communicating with, so that they really feel like they have no other option but to respond to you. Think about it. If I ask them, are you going to make a payment? It's a yes and no. If I ask them, when can I expect a payment? That's a little different, right? They can't just say yes. They can't just say no. They've got to give me some more information. The next thing we're going to talk about here is how to increase transparency on our collection calls throughout the organization. This is pretty important. It's going to really transcend multiple departments in the organization, and in some cases could even transcend the organization itself. So step one in this whole process is to make sure that we're capturing the information on our collection activities appropriately. We can do this through notes, recording promises to pay. Who was it that promised to pay? What was the date? What was the amount? When did they say they were going to pay? How are they going to pay? ACH, check, credit card, etc. Taking notes also helps us keep on top of where we left off, right? It helps us have a mental history of, you know what, I did call them 3 times or 4 times. I sent them 3 or 4 emails, and I still haven't gotten anywhere with them. Taking notes will also help, believe it or not, with your customer retention, because it's going to provide better customer service. If you call your customer and you forget half the conversation you had the last time, customers are going to get frustrated. There's nothing worse than repeating yourself, wasting time, wasting their time. Make sure you take good notes, either at the account level, the invoice level, etc. If you don't have a system for it, that's fine. Keep a notebook. A lot of people make their notes on the AR aging, which is okay, but those things are disposable. You're going to throw them out, the next time that you're making calls, probably next week, because it has the updated information. So at least keep them in a notebook or digitally, maybe in Microsoft Word or something. Record and transcribe. The first part is recording, especially for those critical conversations you're having with customers, as maybe you're approaching the point where you need to put them on credit hold, delay delivery of service or shipment of product, potentially to the point where you would engage a third-party collection agency or get to some sort of legal activity where you want to pursue them legally. This is where it becomes very important to be able to physically record those conversations you're having. And in many cases, you also want to transcribe them so you can search those conversations for certain keywords or keyword phrases. It's going to eliminate excuses for non-payment. A lot of times you can use the recordings kind of against your customers. Look, you told me last time that you were going to make a payment by the end of the month for $500. No, I didn't. Well, let me send you the recording, and you and I can listen to it together. That'll change their posture a little bit, and they'll know better to do that in the future. It does also hold the customer accountable. Now, there are things, right? Different states have different laws. You're going to have to let them know, this call could be recorded for quality purposes or what have you. But a lot of times you can just ask the customer, look, I would really like to record this conversation so that I have it on record. I can transcribe the notes for me so that I can better serve your needs. It also allows for better insight from management. So, all of us have different strengths when it comes to managing credit collections, whether it's calls or emails or what have you. Recording things, transcribing things, maybe our managers can look at it, CFO, controller, credit supervisor if you're larger, and they can say, Jim's really good at handling those very difficult disputes, or Lindsay's really good at handling reminders when customers are coming due. Whatever the situation is, it'll help for some cross-training and really continuous improvement within your department. Then that goes to the next one, right? Allows for improvement among the collection team. You can share best practices. You know what? I used this, or I said this way, or I took a pause, or whatever tactic or tip actually worked. You can start to document those and share those among the team. Also, really, really good for training purposes. You know, what small companies, you might have 1 or 2 people doing AR management or collections. But maybe you're going on vacation, you've got a part-time office manager who's going to fill in for you. Take a look at some of those videos and maybe learn a little bit to be able to backfill your position. Or, you know, you do lose people in these roles sometimes. Maybe that person leaves. You can go back and find out how effective they were, use their recordings to train the replacements. One last point before we get into the collection call scripts. As far as making the information transcend the credit collections department, if you think about it, a lot of times credit collections is just on the back end of a problem. You know, we're trying to collect on something when the sales rep maybe inadvertently quoted them the wrong price. So then we have to get sales involved to be able to correct that so they'll make a payment. Maybe somebody in the front office accounting outside of AR set them up improperly, and they require a purchase order to be on the invoice in order to make a payment. And we want to get to these root cause analysis to be able to get those things fixed so they don't continue to happen. Maybe it's for a distributor, a manufacturer. It's the way we're shipping the product to them. Maybe they're getting damaged in shipment. So we need to look at root cause again, work with shipping and receiving, to make sure that we're packaging it better, or maybe switching the shipping providers that we're working with. So there's a lot of things we need to do that transcend just accounts receivable. You know, it's obviously going to maybe transcend into legal, could transcend into customer service, could even transcend into ownership. A lot of times the owners have direct relationships with the owners of your customers, and if it's a big enough deal, they can make a call owner to owner and try to get things to be resolved. So let's get to the bonus call scripts here. The front half of these are all pretty much the same. You know, you're going to make your introduction. May I speak to Joe Smith or John Smith? I'm sorry, speak with the customer. I'm John Smith from Anytime Collect. They're going to get on the phone. You're going to do your greeting, tell them who you are, calling about this is where it gets important. I think you want to tell them specifically what you're calling about and why it's critical. I'm calling about your balance of $150 on invoice 123. I want to find out if this invoice has been processed and the check has been mailed. Remember earlier we talked about stop, wait, and listen. We asked them an open-ended question. Has the check been processed and mailed? They're going to tell me, no, I'm not sure. I need to look into that, or what was that information? We can then respond to that and like. In this case, they might say, you know, we didn't receive the invoice, or I don't remember seeing it, or are you sure you sent it to us? There's a couple ways you can respond to this. The first one is if you included a copy in the box, if you're a distributor, or maybe it's a service customer, maybe you emailed it to them along with whatever else you're sending to them. Or you can say, you know what, sorry you didn't get that. Hold on the phone with me right now. Let me confirm your email. They'll confirm it. I'm going to email that to you right now. Stay on the phone until they confirm they have received it. Make sure they open it up. Make sure that they review it and ask them, do you see any problems with this invoice and why we wouldn't expect to get a payment in full for the services or products that we provided. And then next thing obviously would be to ask them, when can we expect that payment? And what's the method of payment, the date, et cetera, the amount. So that's one tip. Kind of the same intro here on collection call script 2. In this case, the customer is going to say, the price doesn't match our purchase order, so I can't process this for payment. You have a couple options, actually many, many options, but here's a couple that you might consider. If you have a copy of the purchase order, you can look at it and say, you know what, you're right. Your purchase order had the wrong price on it, not sure why, we can get sales involved, but the correct price is $1.25 each, not $1 each. Can I work with you to correct the purchase order so that we can get this paid? A lot of times they'll work with you. Or they might say, you know what, no, 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 we got to get back in, in touch with sales. We were told $1, not $1.25. So that you can work through that as well. The other option here, because a lot of times with these disputes, especially when it comes to pricing and you need to get other people involved, you may not be able to resolve it on the phone, but that doesn't mean you can't get paid. So, did you receive the order? Were you happy with it? Was it a great quality product or service? Great. Thank you for your business. Truly appreciate it. In the meantime, can you do me a favor? Even though the amount may not be correct, can you pay me at least for the $1 each amount so that we're going to receive something, and then we'll work out the other kind of difference on the 25 cents per unit at a later date. So lots of things you can do there. Question call script number 3, same intro. The check is on the boss's desk to be signed. He hasn't signed it yet, or he is out today. So, a couple ways you can go here. Why not talk to the boss? He's the boss. Can I have the boss's direct number so I can leave him a voicemail? Get the number, call them, or leave them a message. They may be hesitant to that and say, well, look, we provide the product and service to you. I need to be able to get in touch with, whoever's responsible for the payment. This is starting to get to a very important level within our organization, and I don't want it to escalate out of control. You can also pull out your credit application. Hopefully you guys are having customers fill out credit apps or contracts. You signed it, and call that person and say, you know what, you guys signed this, you guys applied for credit, we're not getting paid on time, and that's not the agreement we have. So you can create a little sense of urgency, maybe get somebody else within the organization to maybe prod the folks that have the powers to make the payment happen. Last but not least, you can call the sales rep, because in a lot of cases, those sales reps have a better relationship with your customer, and they should, than your credit collection team. Especially if they're making site visits, they're out on site, they're trying to sell them more product, they're servicing the product. Get the sales rep involved. A lot of times saying, come on, Joe. Look, we're going to put your account on hold. We know we're not going to be able to ship that product or deliver that service until you make a payment. We love you. You love us. Let's get this all worked out. So it's just a couple options there. Call script number 4. Customer, I do have the invoice, but we're in a cash crunch and don't know when it'll be paid. And there's various ways they're going to say this to you, right? They may say it directly, and they may say it inadvertently. Like, I have to check on that. I'm not quite sure. It's fair to ask them, do you have the cash available to make payment? I think that's a fair statement. But there's multiple ways you can handle this type of a scenario. Look, I'm sorry. You want to sympathize. You want to make them understand that you truly do value them as a customer, as a person. Sorry to hear that, but I do have to report it to my boss or my supervisor this afternoon and kind of let them know what's going on here. Years ago, we had a really good collection agent that worked for a company, and she had a really unique way of handling things. She would say, I need to update my financial forecast for my boss, and I need to know when I can expect that payment. Now it doesn't sound like you're collecting. It sounds like you're asking them for help for something that could get you in trouble internally if you don't have the information. Which at the end of the day is true, right? If you don't have information on when you're going to get paid, that could be a bad thing for you. People do tend to want to help people they like. And if you're pleasant and you have a good relationship with your customers on the phone, that's a good strategy to use. Now, there are going to be cases when they say, you know what, I just don't have the money. So you can ask them, can you send a partial payment? Can we apply that today? That way, at least I can let my supervisor know that, you're making an effort to make a payment. A good tip here, 80%, if they owe you $1,000, ask for $800. If they say, 800 is a bit too much, can I get 600 from you today? Can I get 400? At least pay me half so that I can go back to my boss and say, look, I got half of it. We'll set up a payment plan on the rest of it. Maybe you can give me, $500 today, and then the other $500 you can pay me $100 a month over the next 5 months. Just know that we're going to reduce your credit with us. We may have some delays in shipping, but we're willing to work with you here because we truly do value your business. Once you get the agreement worked out verbally, you're going to want to send that to an email maybe even send it via regular mail, depending on the nature of it. If it's a very large agreement you're making on these extenuating purchase terms or payment terms. And then send them a confirmation and make sure that they acknowledge the terms of kind of the special circumstance. So those are some of the tips. We will stay on and answer any questions that you might have. But hopefully you got a little bit out of that today. And we will see you all on a webinar very shortly. So those of you on the East Coast, go enjoy lunch. And the rest of you, have a good lunch here in a little bit.